Hey, girlfriend. Welcome back. And thank you for listening to another great episode of Girlfriend, Let Me Tell You the podcast because I have something to say. I'm your host, Latasha. On my podcast, I discuss topics that most single Black mothers can relate to, and I even share a few laughs with you all. So let's go ahead and get into today's topic, which just happens to be: are people asking questions about you so that they can get an understanding of why you choose to do the things that you do? Or are people asking you questions about your choices because they want an argument? That's what I want to talk about today. And what made me think about it is I know whenever somebody says something similar to, I have no idea what you're doing, you must be confused. Which doesn't make sense. If you don't understand me, that makes you confused, not me. You're the confused one. But people still say that until today. I have no idea what you're talking about. You are confused. And usually that happens whenever they are talking about someone's sexuality. Today, everyone is so riled up, which is bananas to me. But people are so riled up about someone else being gay or someone else being bisexual or someone else being a transgender or whatever they are. And so many people they have their own thoughts and ideas about it. Me personally, I could not care less about someone else's sexuality as long as they are not someone who likes kids. Okay. If they are adults who like adults and they want to switch up their body parts and things, that's on them. But another thing that people like to ask about is someone's religion. So if you're not Christian, then you're not holy. You're not going to heaven. You're not going to hell. I mean, you are going to hell. It's like so many things that people like to say about anyone who is not a Christian or someone who does not go to a Baptist church or something like that. It's like all these differences, but the world is a melting pot of a whole lot of things. So for anyone to say my thing is better than your thing, they're totally incorrect because people like what they like based on who they are and what they are attracted to and what they are interested in. And so that's why I say when someone says, I'm just asking you because I'm trying to understand, that is not true. When someone comes to an individual to discuss a broad topic such as sexuality, religious beliefs, their appearance, their mental health, their drug use, their habits, how they heal from anything that has hurt them in the past. They're not asking you for understanding. In my opinion, they are asking you because they want an argument. Because if you want to ask someone um, why they have piercings in their face. Or if you want to ask someone, why do you have tattoos all over your arm when you have beautiful skin? Why do you have on contacts? Why do you wear artificial hair? Why do you wear short shorts? Why do you wear all black? Why do you wear so much makeup? Or they ask a guy, why do you let your hair grow so long? Or why do you let your nails grow so long? Or why do you do this? They're not asking because they want understanding, because I'm gonna tell you this: everything that almost everything that we do can be found online. It can be found in a book, it can be found in a documentary, it can be found um in a newspaper, it can be found in a magazine, it can be found on TV. There's so many other ways that you can get that information, but for you to single someone out and start asking them questions, you want an argument. Because if you wanted understanding, you would not ask them a question, and then when they start answering the question, you butt in to interrupt them, to tell them why you think that what they are saying is not right, is unbelievable. They should change their mind, they should change their ways, and they should do what you feel is right. That's how I can tell someone wants an argument. Whenever I had shaved my head bald, the first time I did that was in 2018. Yeah. Yeah, I shaved my head bald in 2018. And a lot of people ask me why I shaved my head bald. I shaved my head bald the first time because I had watched the movie Black Panther, and his army of women had bald heads. They had like tattoos on their head. I'm not sure if it was henna or whatever it was supposed to be, but I never got the tattoos on my head because I shaved my head in October. And even though October is still kind of a warm month, it's not cold, it's not freezing or anything, but because my head was shaved bald and there was a slight breeze, My head was freezing, so I just let my hair grow back. But people kept saying, "Why are you cutting your hair short? Are you gay? Do you like women? Do you want to look like a boy? Are you balding? Are you sick?" And I'm like, "I just want to cut my hair. I just want to see what I look like with a bald head." And then I let my hair grow back. And then in 2022, yeah, because when I started letting it grow back from the bald head the first time, I started my locks. And then in 2022, I went to Essence Festival in I always want to say Las Vegas. I went to Essence Festival in New Orleans, Louisiana. And while I was there, they had like a section for Disney, and they had some characters or some actors. Well, I guess both characters and actors from some Disney movies, and they had two of the women from the army from Black Panther, and I took a picture with the two of those ladies. And at that time, I had a mini afro. It was real small, and because I had cut my locks off, so I had hair, but it wasn't a lot of hair. And when I saw them, I was like, I'm gonna do it one more time. So I shaved my head bald again. And to be honest with you, I don't think I would ever do that again. But people had a lot of questions about it. Whenever I started thinking about things differently, because when you're raised around people, of course, you take on their thought process of a lot of topics, a lot of issues, a lot of situations. You handle um, things the way the people around you handle them. And then as you get older, either you continue to do it the way they did it, or you branch out and you find other ways to do things. So whenever I feel like I don't agree with something, maybe something religious, if I don't agree with it and I want to question it, or if I want to just step away from it, it's a problem. Well, why don't you do this? Why don't you go to church anymore? Why don't you know the Bible like most of us know the Bible? Da, 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 da. Um, all this other stuff. And y'all know, some of y'all might not know, but I like to read tarot cards. And I got into that in 2022 when um, what happened? I'm not sure if I saw some tarot cards and I was like, hey, let me see if I like that. I think that's what happened. But I've been, dealing with tarot cards, and some people question that. And again, my thing is, I'm not doing anything that you cannot find information about on the internet. And I have a cousin who is gay, it's a male, and he said that someone was asking him a whole bunch of questions about his relationship. Do you all do X, Y, and Z? Do you do A, B, and C? Does your partner do this? Can y'all tell me what y'all do? Da, 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 da. And I told him, you can just tell that person, I am not a case study. Do not ask me any personal questions about my relationship because I am not a case study. Get out of my face and get out of my business. And it doesn't matter, because if somebody already does not agree with something that you have going on and they start asking questions, believe me when I say they are looking for an argument. And the reason I know this is true is because if you go on social media and you post something and somebody does not agree with it, they will ask you, why did you say that? Or when did you do that? Or no, God doesn't like that. Or you're wrong, you're a bad mother, you're a bad father. This is what you should have did. If I was you, I would have did this. And then somehow it goes from a positive post or an opinionated post that should not offend anyone to this full full blown out just chaos on the internet, to where at some point you might start calling each other names and disrespecting each other on the internet. And it happens often, to where people don't know how to say, you know what? Hmm, that's what they do. Good for them. Say to yourself, I wouldn't do it, but more power to you. People can just say that. But instead, they would like to ask you questions, and they like to do it in front of an audience, whether that audience is social media, or whether you are at a family gathering, or if you are out in public, whatever it may be. Just like whenever I see the videos when people are saying that certain people should not be able to lock up their hair, it's only for black people. Or whenever they say that certain women should not wear blonde hair, or they're saying that certain men shouldn't have curly hair, or certain men shouldn't wear certain jewelry. Now, I am not interested in a man that wears a dangly earrings. However, I feel like it's appropriate for men who are older than me, because I had an uncle that still wore the dangly earrings when he passed away. And then you have some men who still have the long pinky fingernail. And then you had Prince, the artist, who dressed, what is the word? Metrosexual? Is that what it is when men dress kind of, I don't want to say feminine, I think it's metrosexual. But Metro, is it Metro? Anyway, y'all know what I'm talking about, Prince. And somebody always has something to say about something, and I just dislike it. But my thing is, before you came to ask me this question, did you do any research? Because if you are truly trying to delve into this topic or delve into something that I have going on, and you are doing that for understanding, where did you first try to get your information? Did you look into a book? Did you Google it? Did you type it in a search bar on YouTube? Did you happen to watch a documentary on it? Did you see some other people? Were you in a group of people who were like that and they just felt like it was a Q&A? What made you want to ask me? And if you truly want an understanding, and I decide to engage in um your what's the word, curiosity, if I want to engage in your curiosity and tell you about me, at any point are you going to disagree with me and try to prove me wrong, how how I feel about the choices that I make? Is that what you're going to do? Whenever people um whenever people hear about me trying different jobs, when people hear about me trying new businesses, whenever people hear about me traveling by myself, whenever people hear about me moving out and not telling anyone or not telling everyone where I live, whenever I go out and make purchases, whenever I do certain things with my son, whenever I do things by myself, when I change my appearance, whenever I have certain friends or I want to be by myself, whatever the case is, it's it just seems to always be you should not do that because. And I used to think, sometimes I think they're telling me not to do things because they're afraid. Because, like I said earlier, some people would tell you if it was me, I wouldn't do that. And I'm not you. And that's why I'm doing it because I'm not you. Because if I was you, I wouldn't be doing it neither. But I'm doing it because it's me. And this is what I want to do. But anytime somebody decides they want to ask you about your sexuality, why are you married to someone older than you? Why are you married to someone of a different race? Why aren't you married at all? Why don't you have kids? Why do you have so many kids? Have you ever had a miscarriage? Have you ever had an abortion? How many people are you having sex with right now? Do you live alone? Do you have Section 8? Do you even pay rent? Do you even work? What kind of car do you drive? Why do you drive such an older car? Could you afford a newer car? How much money do you make? How often do you get paid? Are you on welfare? Do you live in a house? Do you live in an apartment? Do you live in an RV? Do you live in your car? How much do you pay for rent? Why are you renting? Maybe you should pay a mortgage. That's something that I hear a lot too. Now, I'm a single woman. I can live wherever I want to, wherever I want to. And for so long, people were just trying to pound into my head, you do not want to rent, you do not want an apartment, you want to buy a house. And the more I thought about it, I was like, I do not want to buy a house. And I have my reasons. I do not want to buy a house. And I did another episode where I was talking about why I didn't want to buy a house. But somehow I slipped into going to see how much I could get approved for a mortgage, and something drastic. Drastic, is that a good word? Yeah. Yeah, there was an emergency. So something drastic happened to where I had to move out immediately. And in doing so, I dropped the whole house hunting thing and I got an apartment. And I'm happy because after I got the apartment, I was like, I'm so glad I didn't get a house. I'm so glad that I did not get a mortgage. Even though the mortgage would have cost less than my rent, once you calculate everything that comes with a house, it probably would have been the same thing. So I'm happy to have rent, or I'm happy to be renting right now. But again, a lot of people, whenever they ask you something, like if they ask you, why didn't you just buy a house? You can say, oh, because I didn't know where I wanted to live. And I hate to buy a house and then decide I want to move in like 2 years. Oh, well, all you got to do is sell it. Well, I don't want to sell a house. I don't want to go through the troubles or use any energy trying to sell a house. It's hard enough trying to buy a house. Oh, well, you can rent it out. I don't want to rent it out. I would rather pay rent to live somewhere rather than getting a house and going through I don't want to do that. Like when I'm ready to get up and move, I want to move. And it's always something with him. Well, you can still move. You can do it. You can. No, I thought you were asking me just so I could give you an answer. I don't want to debate with you. I don't want to have to go back and forth about what I believe because I've given it some thought. Sometimes we do things without thinking it out, but now at this point in my life, I do think through a lot of decisions that I make because, baby, when I tell you, and I'm not fully delivered, but whenever I tell you that I do some things just off the spur of the moment, like a hunch or, oh, I got to do this right now. I still do that sometimes. So for me to sit here and say, I don't want to do it, I just don't want to do it. And I don't always have to give someone an explanation because here's my thing right here. If you want me to buy a house that bad, buy it for me. It's not like you're paying anything. No matter what decision I make, I have to live with that because it's my money. If I decide to date someone, whoever I decide to date, whether it is a white man, an Indian man, a black woman, or even if it is someone with a disability, if it is someone way older than me, someone younger than me, someone long distance, it doesn't matter. Whoever I date, whatever my sexuality is, whatever my pleasures are, that's none of your business. I don't want to have to argue with people about my life and it doesn't affect them in any way. No matter where I live, you do not have to lay your head on not nan pillow inside of my home. No matter what habits I have, if I have a habit of gambling, it doesn't matter. I'm not gambling with your money and I'm not asking anyone to loan me any money because I know my limits when it comes to spending money. For the people out here who do drugs, if you sit and listen to someone who is an alcoholic, either even if it's your use calling them an alcoholic or if they are admitting, hey, I have a drinking problem. If you talk to someone who uses drugs, it doesn't even matter what the drug is, from marijuana all the way up to fentanyl or whatever the highest is, whatever the lowest is. If you talk to someone who uses any type of drugs, and if you ask them because you really want to understand, or if you really just want to listen to them, they will tell you why they do what they do. They will tell you why they drink beer every day, all day. They'll tell you why they take a shot of alcohol at night. They'll tell you why they like mixed drinks on the weekends. They'll tell you why they drink all throughout the day. They'll tell you why they smoke cigarettes back to back to back. And a lot of times it's so that they can cope with the world. So imagine you are doing drugs or you are drinking so that you can deal with the world, so you can go out and face the world and you're not becoming a hermit and you're not just hiding from the world. But sometimes you like to be high. Sometimes you need some nicotine in you. Sometimes you need a shot of liquor. Sometimes you have to be drunk to be brave. And then someone says, I think, even though you said all of that, even though I said I was asking for understanding, I still want to argue with you because I feel like you should stop drinking. And I feel like you should stop doing drugs. That means you want someone to sober up so they can face the reality of being judged for the choices that they make. When there is something about you that could easily be judged, easily be torn apart, easily be used against you to blackmail you, to hurt your feelings, to make you feel low down, if it's not something that you're doing right now, somebody could dig up some dirt from your past. That's why I say, whenever you go and you talk to someone, if you want to talk for an understanding, that's fine. And don't try to force information out of people because guess what? People's business is not your business. It's not. And just because you're having a conversation with someone doesn't mean that you have to share your opinion. You don't have to share a relatable story. You don't have to do any of those things. You really don't. If someone is telling you the way I heal from my trauma is I talk about it a few times. If I can talk about this thing that happened to me, whether you were sexually abused, whether you were abandoned, whether you were left homeless, whether your kids were taken from you, whether you lost your job and you went to prison and you came out, nobody cared about you, whether you have been in abusive relationship after abusive relationship, no matter what it is, if the way you get through that is by talking to someone or telling a few people your story, that's how you heal. If you heal by hiding from the world for a couple months, whatever it is, I don't like when people try to tell you how to deal with trauma because a lot of people's suggestion is just get over it. That was 30 years ago. Get over it. Why are you still worried about it? And if you haven't been through what somebody else has been through, if you have not been homeless before, and I don't mean homeless like you don't have your own home, so you sleep on your cousin's couch, or you go to your friend's house and you sleep in their house or something like that. Hey, I just want to take a moment to pause for the cause and remind you all that the details for this episode are down below in the show notes. And also, my sponsor for this episode, which is A Cup of Stars Tarot, those details are below as well in case you want to get your own personalized tarot card reading. Or you can go ahead and join me on my social media pages and you can do the collective tarot card readings that we have weekly. All right, don't forget, look down below. Enjoy the rest of their episode. Hey, real quick, are you enjoying the episode so far? I surely hope so. I want to remind you that all of the details for this episode are down below in the show notes, so do not forget to check that out. And also, I want to remind you that you can go ahead and sign up to be a part of my emailing list. I have so many great things coming up this season, and I want you to be a part of it. So, look in the show notes below, leave a comment on how you like this episode, and I hope to hear from you all soon. When there's no way that you can try to even relate to someone who has actually been homeless. Now, I've never been homeless before, as in I had nowhere to go, and my last resort was the homeless shelter. I've never been in that situation before. However, I have lost my apartment before, and I've had to live in somebody else's house. And if you have if you've never had to live in someone else's space, until you got on your feet, or if you've never had to share a space with someone because you thought it was going to work and it didn't, um, that's a whole nother trauma in itself. Now, not sleeping on someone else's couch, but I had tried to live with a relative whenever I moved out of the state, and it did not work. Even though we had an agreement before I got there, it did not work because it was a one bedroom apartment, which I knew that before I got there. I knew it was going to be a one bedroom apartment, but what we discussed was the lease was going to be up soon. So we were going to share this one bedroom apartment. It was one bedroom, a bathroom, a kitchen, a living room, I guess you call it a dining area. It was like an eating area. Like you could fit a table over there. And it had like a patio, a fenced in patio. And the deal was we were going to stay in this one bedroom apartment. I was going to find a job. I was going to split the rent in this particular apartment. And then when that lease was up, which was supposed to be soon, I believe, once that was up, we were going to go look for a two-bedroom apartment so that we could share that. But that didn't happen. We things fell apart. And then I went to go stay with another relative because at this point I don't have my own place and I've already left my home state and everything. But I feel like whenever someone hears that someone else is homeless, like strictly homeless, like hey, if I don't find somewhere, if I don't find somebody to put me up tonight, I'm gonna sleep in my car or I'm gonna sleep on the street. Whenever people actually meet people who are homeless and it happens to be someone that they know, it seems like that is the worst time to try to lecture someone. Well, you should have did this. You can get a job. You should get a job. You should keep your money. You should save your money. You should treat people right. Nobody has time for a lecture because you never know what put that person in that situation. And sometimes if you don't have the money to save, what exactly are you asking them to save? That's why I say sometimes people they ask questions just to get a conversation going. It's not always I'm asking because I want to understand. Because, like I said before, if you're asking for understanding, then why are you doing so much talking? Why are you saying so much? Why are you speaking so much? Why are you trying to share your thoughts or your opinions? If you are trying to get information, you need to be quiet because you don't know. What did Kanye West say? You don't have the answers, Sway. You do not have the answers. So I want to do this podcast episode on people who are not asking for understanding, they're asking for an argument. And the argument is even greater whenever there's an audience, whenever they get people around before they ask the questions or before they um get in your business or whatever. But yeah, it's just a whole lot of times I just feel like people are just being nosy and it bothers me. And as adults, we don't have to explain ourselves to anyone. If they're not trying to help us, and I mean literally help you get out of your situation or trying to help your situation improve or trying to make things better for you, giving you resources, giving you some money, giving you somewhere to stay without all the headache. If they're not doing those things, I say leave them alone. Push them out the way. Don't share no information with them because I had a woman one time. Now this was years ago. This was years ago, and this is what I mean by people. Um, Either trying to have an argument or they're just giving you very poor advice. So there was this woman that I knew who had a twin sister, and her twin sister was married. And the twin sister was upset with the husband because she wasn't working and he was bringing in the money, but he was controlling what she could and could not do. And then they had a baby together, and if I remember correctly, he wanted her to be at home all the time. And because he had the money, he wasn't giving her money to go anywhere, to do anything, to fix herself up, to hang out with friends, to get some free time. And whenever he got off work, she was still, you know, entertaining the child because he was quote unquote tired. So the the woman that I was friends with, she said, I told my sister she should leave him. And I said, leave him. She said, yeah, did you hear what I said? He doesn't treat her good. She's not happy. She needs her own life. And I said, okay, leave him and do what? She said, find something better. I said, so when she leaves her husband, is she supposed to come stay with you? She said, well, she can't stay with me. I said, okay, so where is she supposed to go? Leave and go where? Like you have to have a better suggestion other than just leave. Leave and go where? You mean walk out the house and get in the car and sit in the driveway? Because once I leave, I remember I don't have money because I don't work. He has all the money. He's not gonna give me money to move out. So I asked her, what exactly do you want your sister to do? I think what you should have said was, hey, you need to go down to social services, get you some vouchers for daycare so that you can work while he's working, that both of you can have money. If he wants to continue to pay all the bills, fine, you can put your money up to the side and then you can do whatever you want to do later, whatever works for you. Because sometimes it's not always about leaving your spouse. Of course, I've never been married before, but I feel like it's not always about leaving your spouse. It's about getting out of the house and having a life of your own. So if she had gotten out of the house and gotten a job and made some money or made some friends or had a social life outside of her child, I think that could have improved the relationship. And that was years ago. That was like 2010, 11, and we're in 2025. That was this was a long time ago. So I don't know what that situation is like now, but I do feel like sometimes we need to keep our business to ourselves and be careful who we share it with, because if you are already in a depressed state and someone comes trying to knock you, it's only going to make things worse. If you are in a happy state, if you are having the time of your life, living your best life, and someone tries to come and tell you, no, you shouldn't do that, because keep your business to yourself. Like I said earlier, your business is not everybody else's business. And I think once we get a grasp on that, that'll kind of make our lives a little easier too. But that's my episode for today. You or whomever, are you asking questions so that you can get an understanding? Or are you asking questions so that you can have an argument? All right. So that concludes my episode for today. My name is Tasha with Girlfriend. Let me tell you the podcast because I have something to say. Be sure to check out some of my other podcast episodes. I have episodes, excuse me, let me finish my words. Check out some of my other podcast episodes. I have over 100 episodes for you all to listen to. Please go ahead and join my emailing list and be sure to follow me on Facebook I would say TikTok, but I don't know how long that's going to be around. Anyway, y'all have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful night. Enjoy the rest of your year. Bye bye. Wait, before you go, did you enjoy this episode? Well, listen to some of my other episodes. I'm pretty sure you'll like those too. And while you're at it, take a moment to join my emailing list at girlfriendletmetellyu.com. You do not want to miss what I have coming up for you. Thank you again, as always, for your continued support, and share this with somebody. Tell them about me. I'd appreciate that too.